Hello, welcome. My name is Inês Cerqueira and I am the Managing Director of the House of Portugal. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon again. We have started over a week ago this afternoon sessions. We are based in Johannesburg, South Africa, and for about 30 minutes we talk about Portuguese language and Portuguese culture, and also in many of the Portuguese spoken countries in Africa and all over the world. Welcome once again. Please diarize and in your diaries, in your agendas, every day, 4:30 in the afternoon, Southern African time, to make a time for a little bit of coffee or tea and get to know some fun facts about this exciting culture. So, without further ado, I would like to apologize. Yesterday, we had a miss out on our session for technical problems, but we are back. To be quite honest, and because this is how we are going through a pandemic, a global pandemic, and we had a bit of a scare in my household. So yesterday I went to get tested. I don't know my results yet, but I'm feeling good. It's just that I have been in contact with someone that tested positive, and we just doing what we need to do, following the call tree and following doctors' advice and Department of Health and also COVID-19 regulations. We are quite safe and we are happy and we are ready for our conversation today. And I believe that it's very, very appropriate because Portuguese culture is such a social society, such a social culture. We do everything around the table in family, in business, in friendships, in communities. If we want to make someone happy and feel welcome, we feed. We are feeders. So how did this all started? All right. So let's go back to the 15th century when Prince Henry the Navigator ordered his explorers to bring back to Portugal any exotic fruits, nuts, and plants from the new lands. And as a result, the age of discovery, or os descobrimentos, era dos descobrimentos, dramatically affected cooking in Portugal and around the world. Tomatoes and potatoes were taken to Europe, for an example. Until then, they were not new. Can you imagine? And countries as Italy and Spain and Portugal depend so much on tomatoes and potatoes, and even knowing that even in Ireland and England, potatoes are so important and so part, and Scotland as well, part of their cuisine. And it was because of this Prince Henry. Well, so the Brazilian pineapples were also introduced to the Açores in Portugal. That now these our islands in the Açores, they are big producers of pineapples. Excuse me. I think I got a little bit of breath to the wrong airway. And also the Brazilian chili peppers that grew in Angola, and African coffee that was transplanted to Brazil today, producing about half of the world's supply. Brazilian cashews that landed in Africa and India, and tea that was introduced to Europeans. And one of these days, remember, we spoke about Catarina de Bragança introducing tea to the English court when she married Charles II. Today, the Portuguese fondness for certain ingredients like cinnamon or curry powder, for example, is also a legacy from this time. But other cultures had been introducing new foods to Portugal for centuries before that. The Romans, who aimed to make the Iberian Peninsula the granary of Rome, they brought wheat and introduced onions and garlic and olives and grapes. And today, Portuguese wine is one of the most famous, as well as its olive oil. Later, the Moors were the first to plant rice, introduced figs, and planted groves of lemons and oranges, and covered the Algarve province with almond trees. Still today, around May, there is a pilgrimage to Algarve only to see the almond trees in flower, which is quite a spectacular sight. And also the sweet, sweet almond flower scent. And today, naturally, Portuguese cuisine varies from region to region, but fresh fish and shellfish are found on virtually every menu. So I would like today to go through some of the examples, and perhaps you could even tell me if you have ever tried any of these dishes, if you have ever cooked it yourself. Put here in the comments. Let us see who is following us here. Hello, hello. Tell us where you're watching us. And just add here in the comments your city. That would be really interesting. So the national dish is bacalhau, dried, salted cod. The Portuguese have been obsessed with it. I, I believe since the early 16th century, when their fishing boats reached the Newfoundland or the Brazil and the Americas, because it is in the northern Atlantic, in that current, that you really find the cod. So it comes from the very cold Baltic waters, and follows the cold current through in the Atlantic towards the Americas. So the sailors salted and sun-dried their catch to make it last the long journey home, and today there are said to be 365 different ways of preparing it, one for each day of the year. Definitely the national dish is bacalhau. The country is also full of specialty seafood restaurants, many with artistic displays of lobsters, shrimp, oysters, and crabs. To try a mixture of these, have the rich seafood rice arroz de marisco, or you can even get a cataplana de marisco or caril de gambas, very nice. And also the caldeirada. Another national dish, but made with meat, is cozido à portuguesa. It's a thick stew of vegetables with various kinds of meat. And the favorite kind is pork. Oink oink. Cooked and served in a variety of ways. Roast suckling pig, or leitão assado, is popular in the north of the country, as are pork sausages called chouriço or linguiça, and also in Mirandela with the alheira. Alheira is a kind of a sausage made out with broa, with sour bread, and it was made by the Jewish community to look like a sausage. So when the Inquisition came to Portugal, the first thing that they would look to find out if the families were Jewish or Christians, or to see if they would eat pork. So the families would display these salsichas, these chouriços, which are the alheiras, and then the inquisidores, the men from the Inquisition, they will look, oh, okay, now they're eating a sausage, so sausage, pork, it's fine, move along, they are Christians. Not. That was very clever. And alheira is so nice. Alheira frita com ovo estrelado e batata frita e uma saladinha. É de morrer e chorar por mais. Also typical of Porto is tripe with apricot beans. Not my favorite. I can say that, pass it on. It's not to everyone's taste, but has been Porto's most famous dish since Henry the Navigator sent a vessel to conquer Ceuta in Morocco, and the people of Porto slaughtered all their livestock to provision the crew, keeping just the intestines for themselves. They have been known as tripeiros or tripe eaters ever since. Breakfast is traditionally just coffee and a bread roll, but lunch is a big affair, often lasting up to 2 hours. It's served between noon and 2 o'clock, or between 1 and 3 o'clock. And dinner is generally served late, comparing to Anglo-Saxonic ways, like in South Africa, we consider that very late. Dinner is generally served after 8 o'clock. There are usually 3 courses, including soup. So you would start with pãozinho, some bread and butter, a little bit of cheese, perhaps, umas azeitonas, some olives on a table, a little bit of cheese. Then you would have your soup, caldo verde, vegetable soup, so many delicious soups. Then for lunch, you would have your meat dish, main dish, usually. And for dinner, your main dish would be more fish because it's lighter. And then after the main dish, you would have your dessert, either a sweet, like a pudding, or some fruit, or some cheese, and then, of course, a good espresso. Well, as I said, there are usually 3 courses, and often including soup. The most common soup is caldo verde, with potato, shred kale, and chunks of sausage. And the most typical desserts are cinnamon flavored rice pudding, pudding flan, and caramel custard, but they also often include a variety of cheese. The most common varieties are made from sheep or goat's milk, and the most popular is queijo da serra. Now, my heart just sank because we just finished nativity festivities, and every Portuguese table needs to have a pão de ló, vinho do Porto, and queijo da serra, which is from the region of Serra da Estrela, the highest peak, the highest mountain in Portugal. Many of the country's outstanding pastries were created by nuns in the 18th century, which they sold them as means of supplementing their incomes. Many of their creations have interesting names like barriga de freira, nun's belly, papos de anjo, angel's chests, and toucinho do céu, bacon from heaven. A particularly delicious pastry is pastel de nata, a small custard tart sprinkled with cinnamon and sometimes with icing sugar. Before any meal at a restaurant in Lisbon or elsewhere in Portugal, try the bread placed on the table. Portuguese bread is delicious. So tell me, have you dared to try Portuguese cuisine? Have you ever dared to try to cook it yourself? And if so, please leave it here in your comments and give us suggestions. And of course, as I remember that I mentioned here, we have started a series of encounters, and where we will go deeper into Portuguese cuisine. And one of these days, a big, big surprise. regarding Portuguese cuisine. So I will eventually leave a challenge, and I would like to see who of you would be up to that challenge with me. And of course, if you are finding these daily sessions amazingly interesting, please share it with friends and family. The more the merrier. And we would be so, so thankful to grow our community. And we would be so grateful to have more of you here with me commenting and interacting, making it like really more fun. Please stay safe, take care, and I will see you tomorrow here at 4:30 Southern African time again to talk about Portuguese cuisine. You don't want to miss out tomorrow. Oh well. So please stay safe, take care, put a like or a comment. Really appreciate it. Share it with your friends, and most of all, be very, 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 very happy. Take care and bye bye.